This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Drive out with a car!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things.
And the English Professor.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
And welcome back to another Can Crushers. We're starting on the phone right off the bat, as in studio we have the guru, Chad Piranha. I don't know. I drank way too much last night again.
Holy hell.
And on the phone is the English professor, Mr. John Padalano. How are you guys doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing all right.
Doing great here. I have to mention John's having a bad hair day, people.
He really is. He's as bad as my speech is right now.
Yep.
Nothing's as bad as that, Mark.
This is true. This is true. So we promised you that we were going to do a breakdown 2 weeks ago of some wrestling and really talk about what's going on. And I suck. You two did your homework. I'm going to flunk this. But I really have had a million basketball games, and I watched wrestling. And let me ask you guys this before you guys do your breakdowns. Did you watch it and then go back and then do your homework, or did you do your homework as you were watching it? John?
A little bit of both. So I jotted notes down as I was watching it, and then I just got online and read results to kind of refresh my memory to make sure everything happened where I thought it happened.
But when did you time? Didn't you officially use time?
To an extent, yeah. I jotted like starting times and ending times.
Okay. So you half-assed it. And
I half-assed it too. I had it on in the background. I was watching the Ring of Honor show live from Nashville. Well, SmackDown was on, so I just had SmackDown muted, kind of glancing up. And then this morning when I got up, I went back through, hit the timer, and hit everything up, made my tallies and everything like that.
I literally just watched NWA this morning, and I promised I was going to do OVW. Well, guess what? OVW has not posted their show yet. Their Facebook, live thing is always on there, but you never get the commercials from that, so you can't use the Facebook Live one. I was going to use their YouTube one. OVW has not posted that yet. That's why you really don't get a lot of OVW right now. I would be a week or two behind on what's going on. Guys, we still follow OVW. We're still great friends with Al Snow and Chad Miller, and Raylan's there kicking ass, so on and so forth. But this is not where we're going to talk about that. We'll get to that. All right, who wants to go first? English Professor, let's get your shtick out of the way. You did AEW this week and broke it down of in-ring wrestling commercials, da-da-da-da-da. Go ahead.
Okay. So, first of all, when I knew you guys were doing this, I thought you might be surprised, you might be disappointed. Historically, a professional wrestling program is mostly talk and commercials. Like, we'd like to think it's mostly wrestling action. And the reason I bring this up is I want to say November of '88, that Saturday night's main event, it was brought to my attention by my brother Don. He's like, you realize there's more commercials and talk than actual wrestling. I was like, no way, that's impossible. It's a wrestling show. He went down the list. Like, Ultimate Warrior beat Super Ninja in 2 minutes.
Who the hell
Hercules beat Virgil in 3 minutes, and I was like, holy cow, he's absolutely right. This was mostly they were short matches. So really, I didn't even think about the NWA we used to watch. The Road Warriors would kick some guy's teeth in. 20 seconds later, they're at the podium screaming.
Right.
So the TV programs are more hyped to get you to go to the arena. So with that in mind, I thought I'm not going to expect much in-ring action. Well, AEW kind of shattered all of that. because a great deal of it was in-ring action. And I count in-ring action from, the moment the bell rings, really. What else are you going to do? You're going to count it from, when they lock up? I counted from how the show begins. Are they starting with a promo or are they starting with a match? Well, they started with a 30-minute Iron Man match between Kenny Omega and Pac. So you have the introductions, which I counted all that. You've got a 30-minute time limit, which obviously expires because it's an Iron Man match. They're at one fall apiece. It goes into sudden death. So taking into consideration the announcement of the winners and leaving the ring and whatnot, that took about 40 minutes of a 2-hour program. 40 minutes right off the bat taken up by in-ring action. So that's great to see. It's a little tricky. Go ahead, Mark.
You know I'm going to say something. Did you see me saying something? Okay. But they did a picture-in-picture. I remember AEW now. At one point, I think during this match, there was 2 picture-in-pictures, wasn't there? It wasn't a straight half an hour.
Absolutely correct, yes. But I counted that because there's a wrestling match going on. So they're doing picture-in-picture. They're going to commercial. Should I stop the timer for the commercial or should I keep it going because the match is still going? So with the picture-in-picture, for the people live, they're seeing a wrestling match for 40 straight minutes.
Right.
So that's how I counted that.
Okay.
Not very long later, they jump right into Inner Circle versus Jurassic Express. And the whole program was just like match after match. I don't have anything noted as far as cutting away to a promo really or anything. That was immediately followed by Butcher and Blade versus Best Friends. And then you had the 4-way women's match with Big Swole, Hikaru Shida, Yuka, and what is her name? Shanna. So it was essentially in that first hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes, I would say a good 50 or 55 minutes were taken up by actual in-ring action. And I have that the weigh-in started at about 9:20. Yeah, about 9:20, which seems odd. I didn't think that took the last 40 minutes of the program. But unless I'm remembering wrong, all the hype, the recap of everything, the actual weigh-in, the introductions, the fight afterwards, that was a good chunk of the show. So we got a ton of wrestling action in that first hour and 20 minutes, hour and 25. And then that weigh-in took a good 35 or 40 minutes.
Yeah, there was a lot of nonsense that happened during the weigh-in. That, if it was a legit real weigh-in, it would not have, probably would not have happened.
Well, if you've seen some of the boxing weigh-ins and stuff like that, I think that's what they were kind of going for. Give it, if you want to say, a little bit more realism, show something happening. Although I didn't think that they really wanted Jericho to get
his head broke,
9 staples or whatever.
And we'll talk more about that I'll apparently talk more about that on Evolution because you decided to go someplace else last night, and we'll give you your time. But so you're giving us how long total in that 2 hours? What do we get wrestling?
I'm going to say in 2 hours we got an hour and 15 minutes.
And did you break down commercials and then, I'm not saying nonsense, but storyline stuff? Did you break that down any bit as well? Because then you'd say 40 minutes of storyline for Jericho and Moxley, which that's the 2 hours. So there's got to be, in 2 hours, there's got to be 25 minutes of commercials, right?
Sure. Yeah, I did not count that. I did not break that down simply for the reason that they kept the matches going. So we got an hour and 20 minutes straight of wrestling and then 40 minutes of the weigh-in. And the reason I say an hour and 10 to an hour and 15 is the breaks in between the matches, one guy leaving and another guy coming out, all of that maybe totaled 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. I'll give you that. Good job.
Thanks.
All right, Chad, what do you have? You did SmackDown or Raw. I don't know. You were doing them all at one point.
I was going to do Raw, and I can't. Just 3 hours of it, I can't do it. It's just that bad. And I mean, I have an apology to issue later on that'll tie into this. But
I watched Raw in 10 minutes.
I did. Yeah. I did SmackDown, and I kind of went about the same way that John did, but I actually went and I hit every break.
You did it correctly.
Every single.
Unlike me.
Well, no, I mean, I see the reason. I see how you did yours, and I agree with, like, okay, if the match is going on and they have the picture-in-picture, yes, it should obviously count as actual in-ring time. Now, if they didn't have the picture-in-picture and the match was going on and they were breaking away to KFC commercials and everything else.
Stop.
No.
We're not promoted by them yet. Stop.
Oh, sorry. Popeyes. Oh,
jeez.
If the picture-in-picture didn't exist, it has to be a break. You can't consider that because actual in-ring TV time, that's what I was going for. And, John, when you said generally the wrestling, there's not as much in-ring time as there is commercials and that was exactly what I wanted to see, how bad the comparison was, because that's my biggest problem with WWE. It isn't breaking away for the normal commercials and advertisements. It's wasting so much time with stupid stuff.
Right. No, I agree.
That's the way that I wanted. And like I said, I went through. I busted everything down.
He's got a notebook full of, my God, what commercials it is, what star was in it, and everything. This is amazing. He has nothing to do during the week.
And this is my, OCD last part of my career in the military, where it was the attention to specific details, looking for specific things. So that's also, I was just anal about it the way I did it. But I broke it down into five things after looking over that consumed every minute of the televised show. Your commercials, that's your sponsor stuff, whatever, everything like that, was 19 minutes in the 2 hours. I was like, that's not
less than I thought.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Your in-ring, actual wrestling, this is horrible, was 23 minutes. That included that, and here's a kicker of that makes that even worse. That included, I took them from when they came out on stage to when the bell rang, ending the match, or it was thrown out, or whatever it was. So that actual in-ring, you could probably take
another 3 minutes.
Another 3 minutes.
Off because the entrances.
Yeah, you could take another 3 minutes. So probably only about 20 minutes of actual contact wrestling, so to speak. WWE had 9 minutes of ads for their own stuff, and by that was WrestleMania coming up,
house shows.
Yeah, house show, just stuff like that. Not recaps.
Oh,
just other stuff. What I like to call, and this took 60 minutes, was what I call gum flapping, because that was the Miz out there running his mouth. That was, the backstage crap, but none of it in this was useful.
Well, let me stop you there. This is where you probably did one of the worst ones. They just returned from Saudi, their pay-per-view. Sure as shit, you weren't going to get a lot on SmackDown because they have to recap, kind of, my air quotes, recap what happened on Saudi for people like the three of us probably. Did anybody sit down and watch all of Saudi? I did not.
No. I had it on TV.
For your son?
Yeah, for my boy, because he'll talk to the matches and yell and scream and
they can hear him. They know
like
that, right?
Yeah, he knows that. I tell him that all the time.
Good.
I just was curious what they were going to do with the Fiend in Goldberg match.
We'll get there.
I was I had a feeling that Miz and Morrison were going to win the titles.
We said that weeks ago.
So it was kind of like I wasn't really interested in anything, but I just wanted to, okay, what's going to happen? It was something to occupy. I was tired of watching SportsCenter for the day already.
Thursday at noon. What the hell are you doing Thursday at noon besides watching Days of Our Lives? So you had to give up.
Days of Our Lives is on at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
Get it right, Mark.
Yeah. In this one, the fifth area that I broke it down to, just because it took not a great chunk of the time, but it was something that I wanted to keep beating my head off the wall about. John Cena's return tonight. John Cena's return. You know, capping almost everything he ever did. They broke 7 times
For that.
for a total of around 9 minutes.
That's unbelievable.
And it was just for him to get on at the end of the program. Oh, I'm not going to go to WrestleMania. I don't deserve it, blah, 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 blah. And then have The Fiend come out and point to WrestleMania, which totally ruined The Fiend right there.
Did you put the gun flapping Cena spot in the gum flapping, or
Yes.
is it in the Cena spot?
Yes, it was in the gum flapping part.
Okay.
But Cena's
the Cena
actual
promos.
Cena's actual promo at the end was 10 minutes.
If not longer. Yeah.
It was about it.
Yeah. It was close.
Pretty-
I'm not
pretty
saying
close.
you're not, but yeah, without a doubt.
But the gum flapping was just this. I just wanted to show with this how much time they waste, and they could get some more in-ring action. Get rid of, okay, you're going to have promo and stuff like that, but I don't need to see somebody that's just going to make an appearance at the end of the program. I don't need to see 20 minutes of crap about him.
Right.
You're going to have your ads, 9 minutes of freaking ads. You know,
spot
hyping
ads,
WrestleMania and stuff coming up.
But if you take both ads, we're going to beat this to a dead horse, by the way, but to take both times that they're ads, between commercials of like sponsor commercials and WWE ones, you got 19 and 9, so you're looking at 28 minutes, 30 minutes rounding. That seems right. That does seem right. You know, I'm okay with their 9 minutes of ads saying WrestleMania's coming up. Don't forget the networks out there. Don't forget we're selling shoelaces this week. Don't forget, you know, stuff like that. For only 30 minutes of that, I'm okay. 60 minutes of bullshit is what gets us week in and week out. And I quickly went through SmackDown again, and my notes aren't open right now. I can't tell you what happened, and it was a day and a half ago. I cannot tell you what happened on SmackDown without looking at my notes.
I watched it this morning, and the only thing I can remember is they're setting up one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history.
We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
We need to get... All right. John, do you have anything else to add to the beginning? You look tired, buddy.
Oh, thanks. I'm having a bare hair day. I look tired.
Jeez, why don't you leave the poor guy alone, Mark?
I know, right? Thanks, Chad. No,
You're
just
welcome.
that, I was telling you, Mark, I texted you, I've gone back and listened to a lot of episodes, just from the very beginning now. Maybe not every single one, but a lot of them. We've been saying the same thing about WWE for the last year and a half. They're just not doing a good job of driving stories forward. And this kind of relates to what we're doing. You said the importance of a promo, Mark. You're absolutely right. But the promos don't seem to lead to anything. They don't forward a story. It's just a lot of wasted time. And Chad's report shows all that. AEW made it easy on me. They made it very easy, to the point where I just had to jot down some notes because it was just match. And then you had that big chunk of time at the end where they were forwarding the main event for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's an easier program to follow. It really is.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, same here. It's just that's the whole thing. Get rid of this crap. Go have more matches. I mean, it's just the performers are what are making you the money. They're what give them the majority of time. Yeah, you got to have your advertisements. You got to have your promos. At least if you're going to have promos, have them lead to something. Have them mean something. Not, as much as I think that Mandy Otis whatever thing. I just laugh at that. It's useless. It's kind of useless time.
It very much so is. It really is.
Give it to the guys, and I'll go over this later. The wrestling that I attended last night, some surprises that I got from a house show. Give the damn wrestlers the time.
Yeah. John, any parting words before we talk to you again?
We're all in agreement. We're all in agreement. And as you said, you're going to talk to me again. I hope, Can Crushers listeners, you didn't think this was going to be the last that you would hear of me today. There will be homework later.
All right. We're going to let John go, and then we'll tackle wrestling this week, all right?
Hey, everybody, this is Gilbert, WWF's longest reigning light heavyweight champion. And you're listening to Can Crushers Podcast, the best guys there are out there.
All right, so we had to get him off. Otherwise, he was going to just continue to talk all day. He's got another part that he talks about later, which is phenomenal, by the way. I will spoil this. I won't tell you his content, but I will spoil this. You, me, him, our kids all had a part of this, and it's when you go back and listen to it, you're going to be like, holy hell.
Yeah, and we got to watch with his incentives, because if he gets
any more
certain amount of airtime, there's bonuses and stuff and everything like that.
Yeah. So, all right, let's touch on. We're not going to really go over Raw, SmackDown, this, that, and the other thing, because there's just a lot to go on. And you attended, as you said in the earlier part of the show, you attended a show last night, and it was a WWE live event. Let's talk about that and what you saw. Your boys corralled you into going.
Yeah, I wasn't
which
really...
I don't believe... sorry, I'm jumping right on you. Which I don't believe we're not starting with Revolution, but we'll
save
get
the
there.
best for last.
We'll get there. We'll definitely get there.
Yeah, the boys found out that it was going on, and then we were able to get into some tickets for pretty cheap. We were second row on the inclined above the floor seating.
Oh, wow.
And awesome seats. I really wouldn't have wanted to be any closer. It was perfect, and I can share some of the pictures that I took last night with my cell phone. It was just a perfect view. Everything. You could see ringside. You could see obviously the wrestlers coming out. If they were screwing around outside, you could see it. It was good. It was kind of your typical, I want to say, house show card. First match was Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler. Liv is incredible.
They're just not going to give her a time.
No, she is not just looks wise, but she actually wrestled, and she looked good. And this is what irritates the hell out of me about WWE. They make her look like an idiot on TV. And this match, honestly, was a pretty good match.
I heard, because I had a couple other friends down there too, and they were, you guys all forgot Revolution were on, apparently, or you just decided, hey, screw it, we're going to watch Revolution at a different time. I got text saying WWE has been burying Liv because she can wrestle. I got it from 3 or 4 people roundabout that she can really wrestle,
Yeah, it was, I couldn't believe it. I wasn't expecting much, especially with who she was going against, but it actually looked good. Baszler won. Baszler attacked her after the match, which brought Becky Lynch down. So that started a fight. Then the Kabuki Warriors came in and attacked Becky, which brought
Mr. Flair down. Sorry, John. I do got pictures for you, by the way. And that turned into a tag team title match. Becky and Charlotte won by DQ. Asuka used a chair. Really good match. I'll just say it straight up. The biggest pop of the night was when Becky's music hit and she come out. Everybody was on their feet. In second match of the night, which is a shock. Do your biggest pop.
Okay. That was...
I'm
sorry. She was absolutely over. Other matches, not necessarily in order. Andrade versus Carrillo for the U.S. title. As soon as Andrade's music hit, I was like, yes, Selena. He comes out, no Selena. I could have cared less about the match. Andrade won. Lashley against Cedric Alexander, typical match. Lashley won. Eric Rowan versus No Way Jose.
Did you dance? Did you get up and be a
I was doing it in a seat. Vinny was up and dancing.
Oh my God, this was a joke. You
Vinny
literally did it in
I
your
was
seat?
doing
Your
a
son
bit.
was there.
Yeah,
I will
my
give
son.
it. Yeah, all right.
The first match of the night was Ricochet against Carl Anderson with Luke Gallows out there. Really good match. Better than a lot of the pay-per-view stuff that they put on. Ricochet won. Then Gallows got in the ring and said, insulted Penn State, which I cheered for. And then said, you need to go against the biggest guy. Had another 5-7 minute match or whatever with Gallows, ended up beating him. So it was a good card. Well worth the money, worth the trip. And when I said earlier I had an apology, I wasn't expecting much going into this because of what WWE's been putting on TV and stuff like that. This was actually a really good, I don't want to say, I'll say 3.5 star of 5 star for a house show match.
That's huge for a house show, though.
But it was good. The final match of the night, it was supposed to be Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Seth comes down with his cronies, says, this town isn't worth me. Buddy Murphy's going to wrestle. You knew the swerve was coming somewhere. So Kevin Owens has Buddy Murphy pinned. Seth and AOP jump in, start kicking the hell out of him. One of the Viking Raiders comes down, the smaller one.
Rowan. Eric Rowe. Yeah, whatever.
He comes down. They're beating up on him. And then Drew McIntyre's music hits. Drew's reaction, just a little bit less than Becky's. Just a little. He comes down. They kick shit out of all of them. Seth and them are walking back. Owens and Seth start insulting Rollins, saying that he must not have no balls or little balls, stuff like that. Come and have a tag team match. They had a 6-man tag. The main event ended up being a 6-man tag. Seth and Drew were left in the ring. The other ones battled to the back, and Seth ate a Claymore.
So Drew got the win.
Yeah, Drew.
Nice.
Clean right center of the ring. I actually snapped a picture. Total luck. I can't say it was skill.
Who was skill?
Of Drew's foot hitting Seth, just flush right in the face, and just laying him out. Good. Another, typical match. Good match. Afterwards, Drew talked for about 10 minutes, thanking everybody. Coming out, giving them the energy after all the traveling to come out and put a show on. Thanking the fans for, their support of him, blah, blah, blah. Good card. Just a good card all around. Biggest pop, Becky. Drew second. Biggest boo, Seth.
Imagine that.
He knows how, up until his stuff coming out, Gallows had the biggest heel heat. He had that, was really working that crowd. Even the kids.
I like those guys. I really do. I mean, I like them as they do what they need to do, but they just aren't used right.
Yep. And then again, the biggest driving point home was Liv and being able to wrestle. Why they don't use her.
I'm telling you, 3 or 4 people sent me that same text last night, and it's awesome. It's awesome to get that right back from you saying the same thing. So you also came bearing a gift, and is this Vinny's mask or is it yours?
This is my mask. This is Vinny has his own, and I'm not giving him a mask that costs this much. I won't.
This is a sweet ass mask.
It's the first time I've ever seen very professional, sewn, put together, the materials, everything like that, and I couldn't resist getting it.
That's why you see the picture of us looking like fools guys wearing masks this week. I pulled my masks back out, and I thought about which one I wanted to use for a while, and again, Jushin Thunder just, retired, so I definitely had to use Jushin Thunder. Thanks to Ethan for taking our picture and looking like a bunch of jackasses, but that's what we're here for.
That's us. Yeah, that's what kids are for.
So let's just stay on Raw and SmackDown quickly, as we said we're going to cover it, and then we'll get to NWA, and we'll end the show with Revolution, because you're right.
Do you want to do in the wrestling world news? The couple of things that we talked about?
Yeah, because one is, boom, it was posted, I think, last night. Your very first one. I love it. I looked at your notes. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. Sandman, once again,
Drunk
in deep
as hell.
shit again. Drunk is not a surprising thing, so I'll disagree with you. It's not a surprising thing. But evidently at this show in Florida, supposed to be a 15-minute match. It was him and a couple other guys. He showed up drunk, called the match after a minute, went into a drunken promo. They had to cut his mic off. They had to get the cops to get him out of the ring. Everything just, the promoter's like, he'll never work with us again. I guess there was altercations and he had to be separated from wrestlers in the locker room. This just goes back, and it was mentioned, somebody tagged Jordan Grace in this whole thing, and she was like, it really doesn't surprise me because of the way he acted at the WrestleCade, saying that women shouldn't be in this match and any guy worth a shit should be above them. So it's kind of stirred that up again, but he was never that good to begin with. He was a product. He was a product of ECW.
Yeah.
And this is just, he's losing touch, and the little bit of stuff that he gets in the wrestling world, he's starting to screw himself over of appearances and stuff like that, because then it's not just a drinking thing. That's a huge thing with him, but he's just ignorant about it. And
I want you to save your last one for when we get there, because I was going to make sure I brought something up about that, you being where you were and I being where I was. And I thought, if I do this, he's going to get pissed off at me. I didn't know what, but all right. The second one you have, this again, just furthering storylines. I love it.
Yep, absolutely. First, I got to give a plug, guys. If you don't got the Ring of Honor Club subscription, you got to get it. I watched an event from Nashville on Friday night that I would put rating at 1 to 5 stars. I would put it at a 4-star event, and this was the equivalent to a house show of sorts of theirs. But with the Ring of Honor subscription, they broadcast everything.
They do.
Their pay-per-views, their house shows, leading into, again, Friday, great show. Just Flip Gordon was absolutely awesome as usual. Just all around great show. Led into Saturday. So, on the Saturday show, and I found this out last night on the way home, furthering storylines, things making sense. We have a new Ring of Honor World Champion, Roosh, who regained the title from, what the hell's the guy's name? Brain dump. PCO. Because Nick Aldis, the NWA champ, came in and co-cocked PCO with the title belt, and Roosh was able to pin him. So now you've got all this stuff tying in. Now you've got PCO tied in. You've got the Briscoes tied into this. They're just pushing towards the Crockett Cup. Pushing towards the Crockett Cup. And again, I'll state, barring WWE in the couple of days before the Crockett Cup, and I think 2 days afterwards, nobody has anything booked. The NWA Ring of Honor's not showing anything. Obviously, they're going to be there. NWA, obviously, it's their card. We're not seeing anything from AEW on that time. We're not seeing anything from MLW in that time. And there's still a lot of announcements for the Crockett Cup.
Crockett Cup did say this week, since the Crockett Cup is on a Sunday, okay, which is a little weird. I liked it better when it was on a Saturday. I don't care. By the way, we have third row seats in there. We got our seats this week. We're going to let that be known. We'll be there for sure. We're going to smoke and bargain on a hotel. We were not going to leak that. But where was I going? Oh, they did announce that on Monday and Tuesday they're going to do their TV tapings for said next couple weeks, 5-6 weeks or whatever. But that's their normal thing. But in between there, you're right, there is no ROH, no AEW, no anything. AEW finally announced their next show, Blood and Guts. Not their next show, but something big is going to happen on that. And we'll get to that during Revolution, as Chad has no clue what I'm talking about. He looks at me like he knows, but he doesn't. So, all right. And your last one we're going to save.
Yep.
Right? Because that's actually a part of my whole shtick. So Raw and SmackDown. Raw was tumultuous. It was rough. There was nothing that I want to bring up on. All right, you know what the only thing is? Jake, that used to be a referee at IWC, was the referee in the main event. Give props to him that he came from IWC. He's working with Evolve now. He's been on WWE a couple times. He's Seth Rollins' Danny Davis referee, whatever. It's cool to see indie guys that we know get their to-do.
Yeah, definitely good to see something like that. Especially on their syndicated shows and stuff like that. I saw it last night at the house show, but that's just a different thing. They use some referees from the area and announcers and stuff like that.
Otherwise, I don't care about Raw. And furthering, we have to at least glance over what happened Thursday before we get to Friday. We're truthful. Chad had it on. John and I did not. I just found out from spoilers or Instagram or this, that, and the other thing. So let's dive right into Saudi. And we're not going to talk about all the matches. We're just going to talk about the ones. We announced that Miz and Morrison were going to win the tag team titles months ago. As soon as they were a team, we knew it was going to happen. Yeah. Good place for it to happen in Saudi? Or do you think they would have got a better pop in wherever the hell they were, Buffalo or San Juan or wherever?
Again, it goes back to what I said before about giving anything more than a glorified house show to them over there, because your money market is back here in the U.S. A pop either way, I really don't. I think it would have gotten a better pop in the U.S.
I think so,
too. the people just, how many of them honestly over there are educated enough on what's going on and into it and really got into it? It was just dead. I mean, the show itself was dead.
Talk to me about the Bayley-Naomi match, because I heard it wasn't horrible.
No, it wasn't bad, but again, they were covered, no skin showing.
Yeah, take the section
out.
No,
I'm just saying, not even on the arms.
No, I saw Bayley had a black jumpsuit on with a shirt.
Yeah, it was a little bit better than I expected, but I'm not a fan of Naomi, so I think she's carried more than anything in her matches. And then Bayley got the pin by putting Naomi's feet in her, rolling it up in the overly large shirt she had to wear, and got a pin.
So it was a hokey pin then?
Yeah, it was a crap pin.
And then the one that is still buzzing on the internet, that you have your hottest thing in the world. He won it there last year, and he loses it there this year after what? A spear? Five moves?
5 spears.
5 spears.
Spears and a jackhammer. This caught me by surprise, but this is, like I said, I think we talked offline about this. Vince McMahon is pissed at the venues that have the Elimination Chamber and then the next one, because they released the posters and the cards, and that totally blew the Saudi, anything with Saudi, and kind of blew the Elimination Chamber, what matches were going to be at there. Vince is pissed. So I think this Goldberg Fiend thing is a way for him to say, F you, I'm going to do what I want just because I can.
Well, Roman is still going to be in the main event. One of the 17 main events at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So it's going to be spear versus spear.
But I don't want to see this.
I don't either.
In any way, shape, or form.
We don't have to spend time bitching about it.
I'll just say this. These are two guys that need somebody in the ring to lead them to have a good match. These are not two guys going against each other that are going to be able to have a good match. Even aside the fact that Goldberg's injury prone, it's just, and it's flat. They need to, as much as I hate to say it, because I'm kind of a fan of Goldberg. I didn't want to see him back, but they need to take the belt off of him before WrestleMania.
They're not going to.
But they're not going to.
I will lay any. Well, no, I don't want to get rid of any of the wrestling stuff, but I will lay 50 cents on it. They're not going to. No way in hell. Because everybody's pissed. And then once Roman gets it, Vince gets his, air quotes, reward because people are happy that it's off Roman. I mean, off of Goldberg.
But who's it going to be on? The guy that you've been shoving down our throats for 4+ years. The guy that was rejected by the fans back in 2015.
And then who makes the next challenge to him? Will be Baron Corbin. Just saying. And then we also see the return, which was leaked. Damn, I hate the internet. I love the internet. We're kind of stirring the pot there because we're the internet. It was leaked way early that The Undertaker was there, so you knew he was going to get involved. And you're excited for this match, AJ and Undertaker, WrestleMania.
I don't think they're going to have it now.
Why?
Because they had The Undertaker come down to the ring, AJ poke him in the chest, blah, 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 talk crap. Undertaker grab AJ, choke slam him, and pin him for the prestigious Mountain Cup, whatever the hell it was.
The Boone's Mountain Cup.
Yeah, whatever the hell thing it was. I don't remember seeing mountains like that in Saudi Arabia, but anyway, I don't think they're going to have it because now it's like he beat him with a choke slam.
And he didn't even...
And it's over.
He didn't even undress.
Yeah, and it's like, this is another match that was leaked.
Yeah.
And I think Vince wanted to keep it under wraps. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to have it now.
Oh, John's right. There's just so much that Vince has dropped the ball on over the years. In our 2 years of doing podcasting, there's so much that we start to talk about, and then the next week we don't bring it up. You know why? Because it's not there to bring up.
There's no development. We've talked about this on Road, and I'm sure we will. And there's too many pay-per-views. There's no development, no storyline development. Month to month is not a good thing, or 3 weeks to a month is not enough to tell a good story.
No, because now that Saudi is actually, because you have Royal Rumble, you have Saudi. Now they're going to push everything to Elimination Chamber, and then from Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania, you have 4 or 5 weeks, which is the longest you have on any pay-per-view length there. Normally
in between. But even with the Elimination Chamber, what's going to happen? Shayna Baszler's going to win.
Yeah, Roman's going to win.
Roman's going to win.
The tag team titles, Miz and Morrison will end up defeating everybody that's in there.
Yeah, they'll probably hide or
be the last ones out, get a generic victory.
Something, some kind of crap. There's nothing with the Elimination Chamber other than it's on the network that I pay $10 a month for that'll cause me to put it on.
Right. Right, I agree. So SmackDown quickly, because again, nothing there.
Sucked.
Yeah. Goldberg starts. Who's next? Roman comes out. I'm next, bitch, and he leaves. Bayley, Naomi. This is where I was like, damn, she just lost her title shot yesterday, so why does she get another one already? It sets up one thing. Sasha comes back. Yeah. That's the only thing you need to know out of that. Sasha's back.
Yep, that's it.
And Naomi gets the win. Rude and Kofi, nobody cares. Contract signing. Do we need to have a contract signing for every match on TV now?
They're overdoing it.
It used to be cool.
It used to be cool because there's always going to be a fight. There's always going to be insults. It's just overdone.
They did 2 this week the Elimination Chamber on Raw, and they did the Intercontinental title one on here. So now it's a 3-on-1 match for Braun. No way in hell he's losing this title already. No. Miz and Morrison find out and then Cena, who looks like he needs to hit some sun, comes out and talks for 20 minutes, leaves. He's going to retire. It's not goodbye. See you later. He loves being a wrestler. He's always a wrestler. He gets there. He's saluting. Lights go out. Oh, wow. There's his WrestleMania match. Yep. When he was done.
Yeah.
So you needed Bray to do something. You're trying to build Bray back up by beating Cena.
So you needed 15 minutes or so of Cena babbling, 10 minutes of Cena promos for him to come down and say he's retiring and then accept a match in the last 30 seconds of the show from Bray Wyatt, the Fiend.
Who's buried.
Okay, this crap of pointing to the WrestleMania sign, I think everybody who does it should have their hand broke with a baseball bat. It's getting old. And then you ruin the Fiend even more by having him come out. The only thing he should have been pointing to is his mandible claw into Cena's mouth and laying him out. And even that's getting old. But that would have been better than the Fiend pointing to the WrestleMania sign.
That's WWE in a nutshell this week, and we are disgusted. But now let's hear from Al Snow and Collar and Elbow, where you get great stuff. I have my normal Collar and Elbow shirt on underneath. Comfortable, always great. Guys, you know the whole shtick. You really do. 10% off when you type in Can Crushers with capital C and Can, capital C and Crushers. That's the promo code, 10% off whatever you order, and they'll send it right to your house. So here's Al Snow. We'll be back with some wrestling that's actually getting us rejuvenated on this miserable Sunday.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the East End villain, Josh Ashcraft, and you are listening to the Can Crushers podcast.
All right, Chad, at least we have some wrestling that we're going to like to talk about. I know we spent a lengthy time on something we didn't like to talk about, but we're going to swing it back over to NWA, and as we said, you did the dirty work. Thursday, you were on the old interweb there, and you, by what, 10:10, you had our tickets to the Crockett Cup?
Yep, they came on a few minutes late, and I'd just been sitting there since about 10 till. Hit and refresh came on. Actually had, I didn't tell you this, so you'll scream at this, actually had first row on the back side of the ring, and their system kicked me off for some reason.
That you should not have told me that. Damn you, NWA.
But it was I was kind of pissed about it because obviously first row, but at the same token, this is where they're going to have the hard camera, would have been right over the back of us. So I don't know that a lot would have been going on in the corner, but we're going to be on the opposite side, third row.
I'm not mad with that.
Oh no,
I'm not mad with that at all.
Great seats. Also got to mention, we got our Ring of Honor tickets for our event in June, which is their Best in the World pay-per-view. Got second row for that. I cannot believe there's still as many good seats left for that as there is.
Are they waiting till after the Crockett Cup? Do you think fans are waiting to see what happens?
Yeah, because they're just working together. Look at, you got a couple of events of Ring of Honor coming up before then. You got the Supercard, and I think there's one or two more. It's tying in with what we talked about with all this interfering costing PCO the title. Now Roosh is going against Aldis at one of them. they're just tying everything in.
They're
starting to go in, even in the tag team. You know, NWA announced this week first team to enter the Rock and Roll Express.
It.
Yeah, they're the first team to enter. Are we going to see a rematch of the Rock and Roll Express and Briscoes in the first round from last year? If you watch the Ring of Honor, sorry to skip back to Ring of Honor, but if you watch them, they're developing more of their teams, giving more time to their teams. It's just a big setup. They're working together, and this Crockett Cup's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
It is going to be huge. Just talking to a few people out there, I think you're going to see some more indie people in this Crockett Cup too. So I think, I don't know, on a Sunday still boggles my mind, but whatever. I mean, it's pay-per-view season. Yeah.
That's like we kind of talked last week. I think they're kind of messing with things, see which they get the most. A Saturday show, a Sunday show, bringing back the traditional, okay, what do they get on Sundays when they do this show? All the other ones are doing on Sundays. What are they going to get? Are they in any position to go against anybody else pay-per-view wise? At this point,
I don't think
no.
No.
Not competitively. But
I don't know if AEW is yet either. I mean, we'll talk about AEW's pay-per-view. Trust me, we're just leading you on. We're going to get to it. But
I just think that they're trying different venues in the area. This one seats around 5,000 for a concert.
It is sweet.
It's nice. It's really nice looking. Very intimate setting and everything. But
I'm not holding your hand during it. If it's that intimate, I'm not holding.
No. We'll get you a doll or something like that. But they're just tying everything together. They're building the storylines. That's it.
So NWA this week, it's my favorite show of the week. I would agree. I would think you and John would agree with me that we live for NWA Power. And we talked before I hit the button. Kind of a little lackluster this week, but it's because of what's coming up. They're not unloading everything onto us on one week, which we would just gush.
Yeah,
but we can't. So little bits. Danny Deals. He's a little bit of a shyster.
Yeah,
him and Timmy Storm.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a early what the hell is his name, Paul Heyman type deal. Got that Weasley personality. You just want to smack the hell out of him.
But Tim Storm's going to be going against one of the Can Crusher alums, friend of the show, Mr. Jax Dane. Guys, we have him on in an interview from months ago. Go to the website and check it out. Jax is a great guy. He's got a great story, too. He's actually somebody that talked to me after my mom passed. He and Chad Miller instantly reached out to me and gave me a lot of, build me up type of deal. I'm losing my thoughts right now because I'm going to start to cry. But this guy reached out to me and said, hey, I'm here for you if you want to talk. He's a great son of a bitch. I love Tim Storm, but it's Jack goddamn Dane.
In the back story to this is when Tim Storm first became NWA champion, he beat Dane.
Yep.
Did it underhandedly, which Deals Boy brought up. So there's, again, storylines.
Yep. I don't care what Tim Storm does. He can bring his mom out. I hope Jack Dane punches all of them in the face.
That's going to be a bad match. Oh, my God.
Dice Cross and Starks non-title match. Dice is going to get another TV title shot here, I would think this week, right? This week or next week.
Sure.
And I don't know. Do you think Zicky has it going into the Crockett Cup?
I probably would say so. I'm probably 98% sure because I think that they can put the other one in a good tag team.
Ricky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he could make a good tag team, kind of like the not saying there would be as good as Bandito and Flip Gordon were last year, but he's one that could be gel for a good tag team match.
And Zicky could defend maybe against a legend or something like that. And underhandedly keep the title coming out of the Crockett Cup. May's Diary. This is where I was like, oh man, NWA doesn't need to start this shit.
No.
The English professor loved it. Shooter Stevens has the largest third-degree black belt in the world. This guy is finding stupid shit each week that keeps reeling me in. This belt that he wears is 10 miles long.
Yeah, he doesn't need to show the front of it. He turns it around so you can see the back that it is a third-degree national title.
I was talking about his black belt, but okay, whatever.
Oh, I'm going with the third-degree national belt.
He doesn't need to wrestle. He does not need to wrestle, and I'm involved.
And he's just hilarious. And Mark doesn't know about this. I'm going to find the clip so he can see this. But they're, these guys really with Monrovia and that, they're trying to make it a better country, trying to get businesses in there. Question Mark went and had burgers at McDonald's, and he's trying to get the Mongrovian hamburgers replaced with McDonald's.
McDonald's burgers are that much better than Mongrovians?
Evidently, you'll see the interview with him.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
He's trying to get some business. He's taking care of his country. He is a freaking hero to the 2.3 billion people in Monrovia.
You know that for a fact that there's 2.3?
That's what he says.
Okay. All right.
He's been quoted as saying.
Our boy does take a loss, though, against Trevor. Trevor is just... they're making question mark look weak. But he's got so much on his plate, though. That's why.
Yeah, he's, an ambassador, a wrestler, a trainer...
He's just busy.
Karate instructor.
Karate!
He got little babies as young as 2 years old going through the courses. The man is, should be on Mount Rushmore.
I agree. Brody King shows up at NWA Power. Man.
Developing.
Right?
Developing. When you see somebody from Ring of Honor come running down out of the fans and a massive brawl starts, developing the storylines.
Another storyline that is amazing is this Kingston Pope one. People are saying this is an undercard, with my air quotes. This is going to steal the show. This is going to steal. When these guys get in the ring, this is going to steal the show. And now the Pope is with the Bruisers. He bought them, and they beat the shit out of Kingston.
Yeah, that was... those guys are huge. Those are the two from Ring of Honor. What the hell?
Beer City Bruiser?
Beer City Bruiser, and I can't
remember.
They had some kind of weird name to them. But these, again, are two huge guys. And I'll just say it, they're thick. Fat. They're thick. They're thick. They're thick like a giant sequoia thick. But they can still have a good big guy match.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And what let me down this week was the Thunder Rosa Melina whole shtick that they had. They get in the ring, Melina's playing mind games, and she just rolls out. Allison Kay comes in, and then Camille spears her, looks at Rosa, still looking at... there's just a lot going on. I understand they're furthering the storyline, but there was no payoff yet on what's going on, but I think Melina and Rosa are done.
I don't know quite yet. They haven't had the big blow up physical altercation yet that you got to have to kind of be done to break up. Camille wrestling. I didn't know that she wrestled before. This is me.
She's a tried and true in Tennessee. That's actually Jack Stain and Crimson kind of own. She's their women's heavyweight champion, and she beats the Christ out of people.
And she didn't. The spear looked good.
Yeah.
She looks good. If you've seen some of her Instagram photos promoting now after she's going to be wrestling again,
she really looks good.
She really looks good. I'm kind of excited about this, and I think where they're going with this is they're gonna their group is gonna have titles.
Strictly business.
They're gonna have titles. I don't think now. I'm gonna go on the record now and say that Skrull is gonna win the world title.
Said that, yeah.
But you got the tag titles. Okay, what's to say now that Strictly Business doesn't go for the ROH tag titles, or faces Gresham and I forget the damn guy's name. The bald guy that used to do the Randy Savage, Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
They're just tying again. And I hate to say it and sound repetitive, but I'm gonna say it.
You are. You're a broken record today.
They're developing things. They're making. This is where it's mutually beneficial for both of them to work so well, because where one is lacking, the other fills in.
Yep. All right. We will cover AEW Dynamite right now. Send it to the English professor for a great talk. As much as he doesn't need the time, he gets a little bit more for this time. And then we'll cover Revolution at the end. We're quickly over this AEW Wednesday show, because in the beginning, John said, you have 30 minutes, which actually ends up being 40 minutes of Omega and Pac in an Iron Man match. I love Justin Roberts. Yeah. Let me just say this. His announcing just during this, that was one of the first notes I wrote. Justin Roberts sells me on who's coming out.
He's got a good voice. He elevates his voice. It's not monotone. When Moxley.
Yeah,
Moxley comes. John Moxley obviously sounded a lot better, but it's an old time ring announcers with an oomph on it.
I agree. We're gonna
the one thing did you catch what JR said about the drink that Britt Baker brought out for Tony Schiavone?
No.
So they're talking. Britt got Tony a Starbucks thing because Tony was.
This was last week, right? Yeah. Britt wasn't on this week's show. It was last week. But
okay, let me kick back to last week. I'm sorry. We totally missed it. So Britt's out there, and she brings Tony Schiavone a Starbucks drink, no this, no that, everything fat or, nothing fat in it. And Tony's you just see the crack in his voice. And this is when they're kind of joking around. And old JR says, does it have Blue Chew in it?
Oh, my God, no, I didn't hear that.
For those of you who don't know, Blue Chew is the new Viagra that JR and Arn Anderson push on their podcast. So you got to catch this, because afterwards, Excalibur's trying not to die laughing. He actually breaks a couple of times because he's laughing. You hear Ross and Schiavone in the background laughing.
Oh, my God.
Britt's like, oh, my God. So, sorry. Flashback to last week. Gotta see that.
That's all right, because we kind of skimmed over AEW Dynamite this week.
This was a development show going into the pay-per-view. You weren't going to get a lot out of it.
But how about, now that we can say his name, how about us releasing our spotlight on Wednesday night, and then the guy on our spotlight shows up on AEW? Good planning from us? Luck of the draw?
I knew it the whole time. You didn't know it?
Oh, Gary freaking Michael Capetta shows up on AEW Dynamite 2 hours after we released his spotlight. Guys, I hope you went and listened to the spotlight. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, a lot of good information, stories from him, outlooks on, the personal experience going through things like the different deaths and stuff, and how it affected wrestling and how it was looked at, to some of the assholes that he dealt with.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff. Vince Russo.
All right.
But
yeah, AEW Dynamite kind of just pushed storylines along, and we were excited that our boy Gary Michael Capetta,
and he sounded so good too.
He did.
Yeah. He and I'm not knocking him, but being around so long, older gentleman, kind of thinking his voice might be going a bit now. He was just as good as he was 20 years ago.
All right, here's somebody that's not as good as he was 30 years ago. The English professor, and you're going to like this one.
In the years before 1985, there were several wrestling organizations in my house. My older brothers loved the Star Wars movies and had a bunch of the toys. I wasn't a Star Wars fan, but I loved the posability of the figures. Luke Skywalker would throw the big boot, and after flooring his opponent, he'd drop an elbow for the win. My best friend in the neighborhood, Frank, and I had another wrestling promotion. When we got together, G.I. Joe and Cobra weren't throwing grenades and shooting machine guns. Their battlefield was an imaginary wrestling arena. usually Frank's front porch or his room. Nearly 40 years before AEW's Dark Order, Cobra Commander had a secret society of masked assassins terrorizing the wrestling world. I have always loved the characters in the DC universe, so I was beyond thrilled to see a series of figures representing the Justice League of America and their enemies in stores in 1984. I reenacted episodes of the 1966 Batman television series, the 70s Wonder Woman show, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and the Super Friends cartoons. I waged 3-hour wars in which both heroes and villains died. Sometimes the story would continue for a week, with both sides counting their losses and regrouping. Other times, everyone was resurrected the following day and the war started over. The never-ending battle of good versus evil in the Kenner Superpowers collection spilled over into the Wrestling Coliseum. Batman and Robin, known collectively in my promotion as the Dynamic Duo, had the longest Superpowers Tag Team Championship reign of any team before Batman went on to a solo career and won the Intercontinental Championship. Everything wrestled in my house. Pens, notebooks, dictionaries. I couldn't have been the only kid desperate for wrestling action figures, but wrestlers in toy form seemed destined to remain a dream. During a family trip to Mexico in July of 1985, my family and I were out for a walk, looking at all the vendors who were set up on the sidewalks with their merchandise, arranged on tables and shelves, and even right on the ground. One vendor had a large wrestling display of posters, shirts, and lucha masks. I asked for a mask, and my mother obliged. Of all the bright masks filled with beaming colors, I chose a solid black mask because I thought it would make me look mysterious and evil. Before my mom could pay for it, I noticed a small wrestling ring with about 6 or 8 figurines in it, all wrapped in plastic on the sidewalk. They were similar in size and style to the future mini sets from the Attitude Era that were named after major pay-per-views. I went to pick it up when my mom told me I could have one or the other, the mask or the figures. I chose the mask and didn't regret it. That night I put the mask on and dropped knees on my dad on the hotel bed while he tried to watch TV. When we got home, I was eager to show my friends the mask I bought, to tell them about the wrestling I saw on Mexican television, and to find out what I had missed while I was away. Frank, Joey Oliva, and Joe Torre stood in front of my house and told me something that happened during the 2 weeks I was gone that would effectively change my life forever. Joey Oliva asked me, "Johnny, did you see there are new wrestling dolls?" "Oh, yeah," I answered, unimpressed. "They're like this big," I said, holding my index finger and thumb a couple of inches apart. "Huh?" Joey asked as he, Joe, and Frank shared confused looks. "Nah, John, these guys are like this big," Frank said, holding his hands nearly a foot apart. Joe Torre ran down the names he remembered from the commercial: Hulk Hogan, Iron Sheik, and Big John Studd. "Yeah, right," I said, and shooed Joe away with my right hand. I've always been a self-defeatist. That which I wanted throughout all of my youth was now available, but I refused to believe it. "They made WWF wrestling dolls," Frank insisted. I was still skeptical. "Johnny, I swear to God." After confirming their story by seeing the commercial for myself, I went to different stores and asked for prices on the new wrestlers. But before I could figure out how to buy one for myself, my oldest brother Dom surprised me with the Hulkster. I was in front of my house, again playing with the boys, when Dom walked by with a plastic bag. "Hey, John," he said. And as I turned to him, he had Hulk Hogan in his hand for a split second before dropping him back in the bag. Do you know the expression, "I just about took a shit," when describing an exciting moment? Well, I squatted into a catcher's position, clenched my fists, and tried to grunt, but nothing came out. No sound came out of my mouth is what I mean. I finally had a wrestling figure. I immediately booked the Hulkster in a program with Cobra Khan, the Masters of the Universe villain with a removable head whose body could be filled with water that would spray from his mouth. That was fun for a while, but I needed to get a real opponent for the Hulkster to fight. Frank had a birthday party at his house towards the end of that summer. My brother Anthony took me to my favorite department store on Avenue U to get Frank a present. I looked at the pegs of LJNs high on the wall, and Anthony asked, "So who are you going to get him?" I was a terrible friend. "I'm not getting him anybody I don't have yet," I answered. "So Hulk Hogan?" Anthony asked. He got the attention of the gentleman working there and asked him if he would bring down a Hulk Hogan. This man knew all the fun stuff. He knew all the heroes and villains of the Superpowers collection. He knew all the stats of the baseball players when we bought starting lineup figures, and he knew all the wrestlers. Frank opened his presents from other friends and relatives. He had an awesome birthday, with gifts including the Iron Sheik, Superfly Snuka, and Hulk Hogan. Then he opened mine. Anthony, Frank, and I walked back to the department store to exchange the Hulk Hogan figure. Frank looked at the available figures, looked at me, and hesitantly asked, Big John Studd? That's because Frank was a good kid, raised by good parents, and knew that it killed me to watch my favorite wrestler, Big John Studd, go home with someone else. Back home, I squared with my parents. I told them that I needed a job. By this point, the second half of Series 1 was starting to hit stores, and there was no way I was going to acquire them without relying on the kindness of others. I remembered the price of Frank's gift and had done the math to determine how much I needed to earn to get the figures I wanted. My mom said I could work in her bakery. My father told me to check with the owner of the pizzeria next door to see how many loaves of bread he needed. I obeyed and reported back. 10 loaves. That earned me $1. I swept the floor. That was another $1. I earned $3 that day. But more importantly, I earned the pride of my parents. My father was a hard man to please, but he took a long drag off of his Chesterfield cigarette as he looked at the floor and nodded with approval over how clean it was. Then a card came in the mail from my Aunt Josephine with $20 in it. I quit my job on the spot and walked back to the same store and bought Rowdy Roddy Piper and Junkyard Dog. As reclusive and selfish of a kid as I was, I'm happy to say most, if not all of my wrestling figure memories revolve around sharing them with other people. After a night of playing with Joe Torre on my porch, we gathered our toys and went into our houses. The next day, Joe said, I think we switched Hulk Hogan's. We agreed to swap them back at some point, but I don't think we ever did. Wrestling figures are the start of many stories between me and Mark. We traded LJNs, and to hold us to our commitment, Mark had me draw up a contract that he would ask our science teacher to witness us sign. When we moved on to Hasbro's, Don was able to get me to the mall more frequently than Mark's mom was able to get him to the toy store. I'll never forget the sense of triumph I felt when I told Mark about the most recent figures I had acquired that he didn't have yet. He stood in the hallway of our middle school with his hands in his pockets, shaking his head slowly as he looked at the floor. You're just kicking my ass. I couldn't argue. I was kicking his ass. Once Mark could drive, it became about the road trips and a greater camaraderie and the joint mission of finding the Jack's Bone Crunchers together. Of course, if there weren't two of a figure we both needed, Mark would drill me with a running shoulder block, grab the figure, and fall to the floor with it, getting in a turtle position and holding the figure under his belly. I am not embellishing this story at all when I tell you that we simultaneously saw the only Jack's giant ring at Toys R Us and broke out into a fight, dragging each other to the floor while reaching for the ring on the shelf. I won. Later that night, we went to KB Toys, and Mark found the same ring for $5 less than I paid at Toys R Us. Trade ya, Mark said as he turned his head and tried to stifle laughter. What a douche. An older man I once knew used to say, a man that don't want better for his kids ain't no man. If we can get past the egregious grammatical errors of that statement, we will find truth in it. My son inherited all of my figures. Then at some point his grandmother felt he needed his own collection and she bought him 2 figures. Appropriately, one of those first 2 figures was Hulk Hogan. The other was John Cena. My son has enjoyed his figures the same way I enjoyed mine. He plays with his friends, he trades them with his friends, he buys them for his friends, and he accepts them as gifts from his friends. But he is experiencing something in wrestling figure collecting that I never did. He'll likely soon own action figures of people he knew somewhat personally. AEW is releasing a series of action figures later this summer, and rumor and early photos of prototypes show Britt Baker and Wardlow in the line. My son feels a greater connection to them, having seen them in one of their earliest professional matches here in Pittsburgh. When I met Harry Smith, I asked him if he wouldn't mind signing the figure of his father. Your uncle signed this one, I said, showing him my Bret Hart LJN. These were so cool, weren't they? He said. I imagine it's a pretty amazing feeling having a figure of your father. Even though the relationship between my son and Britt Baker and Wardlow is still fan and performers, the sentiments do go a little deeper due to the pictures and autographs and conversations during intermissions and after the shows. My son has known these 2 wrestlers most of his life and saw them in person dozens of times. As a 4-year-old, he was scared of Wardlow. As we were leaving the gym one night following a card, Wardlow's mother gave my son a bunch of merchandise, including a picture and a towel, and promised him her son would be nice to him. I'm his mom, she said. He has to listen to me or he's in trouble. Before Wardlow left for AEW, the Pittsburgh promotion, IWC, gave him a huge send-off. I saw his mother. Excuse me, ma'am, I said. I don't know if you remember my son. That's as far as I got before she shouted, Oh my goodness, this is him! She took my boy by his hand and brought him to the front of the line. This is him! Remember when I told you there was a little boy who was scared of you? Wardlow smiled. Well, look at him now, he said. All grown up. I'm looking forward to seeing Wardlow and Britt in stores soon. I'm looking forward to seeing my son's reaction to seeing them in stores. And God forbid there's only one of each figure on the pegs and Uncle Mark is with Sylvan. If anyone else around even thinks to reach for them, they're getting floored with a devastating flying shoulder block. In today's English tip of the week, let's look at the difference between whose, WHO''S, and whose, WHOSE. Whose, WHO''S, is simply a contraction of who is. Whose, WHOSE, is the possessive form of the pronoun who. This can create some confusion because an apostrophe S in English usually denotes possession. For example, the English Professor segment is my favorite part of the Can Crushers podcast. The apostrophe S in professors shows ownership. However, when using whose, WHO''S, the apostrophe S is used as a contraction. Whose, WHOSE, is used to inquire possession. Let's look at a few examples. When Joe Torre and I went back in our houses with our toys, would we have said, I wonder whose Hulk Hogan this is? WHOSE, or I wonder whose Hulk Hogan this is? WHO''S. Remember, while apostrophe S usually shows possession, the case is different when discussing whose and whose. So the answer is A. Whose Hulk Hogan is this? WHOSE, shows possession. Frank and I were hanging out at my mother's bakery one day when Dom asked Frank, who's the one figure you have that John wants the most? The answer was obvious. Frank knew it was Big John Studd. But what's not so obvious maybe is if we should use whose, WHOSE, or whose, WHO''S. What are we asking when we ask who's the one figure? We're contracting who is. Who is the one figure? So the answer is B, WHO''S. If Joey Oliva asked us, at whose house are we watching wrestling tapes on VHS? The answer would always be Joey's house. But would we use whose, WHOSE, or whose, WHO''S? We're questioning possession. So the answer is A, whose, WHOSE. One final example. Who's the luckiest guy in the world to have lifelong friends like Frank, Joey, Joe, and Mark? The answer is easy. I am. And with that, class,
you're dismissed.
Hey, this is Baby Doll, your perfect tan. And if you wanted to listen to some wrestling talk, listen to the Can Crushers.
All right, we've teased you long enough, and Chad has not watched it yet, but he's read enough that he's going to be able to follow along with AEW Revolution. Chad asked me earlier in the week if I wanted to go to the WWE house show with him, and I said, nah, I'm all right.
Well, you had work to do, too.
I had some things to do, and then I thought, well, man, it's Revolution. I don't want to watch it late, this, that, and the other. I got on at 7:30. The English professor was texting me from 7 to 7:30 saying this is great because they did kind of the old WWF stuff for the first half an hour. Promo, analyst, promo, ba, 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 ba. And then 7:30, they had a match instantly. It was SCU against the Dark Order. And I know you're not a Dark Order fan. I love these guys. They are a throwback. They're just.
I want to say they're kind of wearing on me a little bit, but it's just kind of funny. It's like where the hell are they going? When are they going to have their leader?
Well, he needs to probably get his 90-day get out of jail
well,
free.
If it's the one if we're talking the same one, his contract's up in March. He doesn't have a 90-degree or 90-day clause.
He's done.
He's done.
There's another one that's been done.
Yeah.
But I think it's the new one that's going to be whatever.
And there's another one
that's already there.
Injured.
Yeah.
No. We're talking a different one. There's another one that's injured.
Air quotes injured.
That doesn't. No, he's really injured.
Okay.
The guy, Brian Cage.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, I definitely
there's like
I don't think it's him at all.
I don't, but at the same token, bring in a bunch of big guys.
And they need big guys. Your thing right off the bat is you wanted to talk about Colt Cabana, and I was going to text you I was going to text you with this. Guys, the Dark Order win the match. They beat the shit out of everybody. Everybody from the Dark Order is in there. And then you hear boom, boom, Colt. I'm like, holy shit. Is he done with NWA? No.
It's
tying together. We know. We don't need to go down the path.
No, not tying together. I'm just saying they are in where they can AEW and NWA, Ring of Honor, their wrestlers can
fluctuate.
Take other gigs and stuff like that as long as it doesn't interfere with the parent company.
I didn't know if I should text you and ruin it, or if you were coming home from
Colt. I would not. I would have shaken my head and uttered a few F-bombs and stuff like that. We've been over the whole thing with the dick guy and stuff like that. I just hope he doesn't bring that crap.
I don't think
to AEW.
I don't think it will. Daniels SCU and Colt stand tall after they clean the ring. Jurassic Express not really doing anything tonight, so they're just out and around. Did you know the Luchasaurus is 65 million years old?
Yeah, I remember them talking about that when he was talking about being harassed and that by Tyrannosaurus, and
I didn't know it was 60. I thought he was maybe 60. I didn't know it was 65 million.
Well, he's trying not to, he's trying to
be
upfront.
He looks good for his age.
Yeah, he's trying to be upfront with his age and everything like that. He's not hiding it.
Dustin and Jake Hager start off, and this was great. I'm going to give you my ranking right now from the show. I don't think it was great, as there were some things, but I don't think it was bad. I'm going to go with about 4.5 out of 6 beers as we go. 4.5, 4 3/4 beers on our grading scale of how good this was. I was involved. I loved everything about it. Dustin, Jake, there's a storyline to continue here. There's just so much.
Saying you remember Dustin putting a microphone in my face last year. What am I going to do with this cast? Shove it up
your ass.
Yeah. Talking about Hager. The one thing that I saw in some of the reviews is that Dustin took a really hard bump and he was kind of slow to get back up.
Real slow.
This morning they're saying slight concussion is what I've seen. What do you call the spinal things that football players get?
Stingers.
Yeah. A mild stinger and mild concussion.
So Jake put Dustin to sleep, and that was kind of a weird. I thought as much action as was, and then there was just a weird way to end. I thought maybe a punch would end it or something, but not ruining everything. You guys need to go back and watch this. It was a great first pay-per-view for this decade for Revolution, and they played that up, which was stupid.
Yeah, well,
whatever. Darby and Sammy, dude, this was a great match.
Too short.
But it was too short. They could have ripped the house down. Sammy, I'm telling you guys, I have a man crush on Sammy Guevara. He just does so much.
He's one of those.
He's an asshole.
There are some heels that are assholes.
Yeah.
And there are some heels that do their job so well that you can't help but like them. And that's him. I'm even warming up to him. Although every time he sticks his tongue out, I'd like to smack his jaw so he bites it off. But
that's part of his shtick.
And I see that the match way too short for these guys. They spent just as much time outside the ring before the match, before the bell hit. But this is a feud that isn't going to stop with one match.
No. Darby's coffin drop was about 3/4 away across the ring, too. That's unbelievable. Watch that. Next match that I'm not a Young Bucks fan. We all know this. This match was unbelievable. It was tag team wrestling. There were some spots. Don't get me wrong. There were some spots that you saw the Young Bucks looking to make sure that they were on the right page. But all in all, I thought they were going to win. I really did think they were going to win. The teaser at the end, though, as Page was walking back, he looks back at Omega. He looks like he's going to hit the slingshot clothesline. Omega comes out, and they walk out together. You're right. You're right. Page is not going to get the chance to turn on him. Omega's going to.
Yeah. I was impressed when I seen the length of this match over 30 minutes.
Yeah. And it didn't feel it.
And again, I'm just reading stuff, multiple sources. The lowest that I seen this match rated was 4.5 of 5 stars.
Unbelievable match.
And the Young Bucks can have good matches, but they need the bigger guys like that to absorb a lot of stuff. They're going to have their jumping around stuff, but from what I understand, this was not a typical Young Bucks.
It was not.
Flip match.
There's a tease of a heel turn there as well from the Young Bucks. There's so many teases in this match that this storyline has a couple months ago. It really does. If they do it right, and AEW is doing their storylines right.
Starting to.
I'm not saying worst, but on the card, the worst match of the night, Statlander against Nyla. Right off the bat, I'm pissed off because my favorite referee, Bryce, whatever the hell his name is, Broxberg or whatever, Roadblock or whatever, I hate this guy. He's the guy that stretches up to this guy when he counts, and he just overreacts. A bit sloppy. As I talked to the English professor about this, and we said this off air, these are two big women. I don't want to see Suicide, Topacia, Tutu Pichipatas, none of that. These girls should have beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, this should have been just a physical match. Again, what I heard is that it just wasn't well put together. They were waiting for moves. They were, waiting for the spots, and it just didn't look good.
Statlander, no reason, but a little under the weather. It's out in public. She was under the weather all week. They were worried that if she was going to wrestle or if the number 2 contender was going to have to fill in for her.
Yeah.
So, whatever. This could be a potential good feud. They just need to work a little bit more. All right, so I'll leave it at that. Up next is Cody against MJF, and this match was good. But let me start, because there's 2 things that I'm really, really pissed about. I can do without the band. Cody had a band bringing himself out, and it sounded like...
I heard it. It sounded like karaoke.
It sounded like karaoke, and it sounded like we were in the worst bar in their basement with speakers that cracked. It did nothing for me. This band, I don't know who they are. I'm not gonna say they suck. I'm just saying the sound of it was garbage.
I heard it was compared to the NWA 7th anniversary issues that they had with their music and sound and everything like that, and it just was something that you would expect from, nothing against indie shows, but your typical high school indie show is kind of what it was compared to.
In a barn somewhere, yeah. MJF gets the win. He uses the ring. We've already kind of spoiled this match an hour and 27 minutes ago, saying this is going to continue. Something's going to come out of this. But both Rhodes brothers take the loss. There's sadness in the Rhodes family. Continuing. We need to build them back up. Cody wants more. So much is going to happen.
Yeah. They're doing it right, not making them win everything and having them squash people.
They don't need
Cody understands this. That's why it's running the way it is.
Yeah. Pac against Orange Cassidy. Chad, you can hate him as much as you want to.
Yeah, I've heard this was a good
uber
match.
Athletic. Dude, the shit that he did with his hands in his pockets and just what you're going to call the stupid kicks and everything, it made me like Pac. I have never been a Neville Pac fan whatsoever, but him working with Cassidy, this was golden.
I've seen it. Everybody was in it. It was a longer match. He actually did some athletic stuff. He broke out of the, stupid entrances and stuff and
awesome.
Everything. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching this afternoon.
Yeah, great. And again, Cassidy takes the loss, but the stupid referee at the end. Make sure you watch him. He looks like a windmill. I hate this guy. He is the worst referee in the world.
Off of the referee, is there anybody that is a scarier looking heel than Pac?
He's a bastard.
Literally.
Yeah.
He just looks like he looks like he'd rather just cut you than wrestle.
Yeah.
Like he'd, jump you in the back before the match and leave you in a freaking dumpster.
Damn, did WWE drop the ball on him? Man,
Don't get started on WWE again.
Man with no gravity, or whatever the hell his name was. And then we come out to the main event. It's Mox against Jericho, and I'm pissed again. What is the best thing about Jericho right now? Moxley went out, he looked great. What's the best thing about Jericho's entrance right now?
His song?
Yeah, and who sings the song?
I have no idea.
Fozzy, but I mean everybody in the crowd.
Yeah.
You hate Jericho, you like Jericho, whatever. They had a choir there that last night to sing the beginning part of Jericho's song. All right. First of all, it is about Judas. I'm not going to get on my preaching, being a Catholic or anything. It's about being Judas, okay? Turning your back on people. A choir is not... It's little things, people, that piss me off. A choir's not going to sing this song. They had a choir...
They will for a right amount of money.
They had a choir singing this song, okay? People were like, what in the F is going on? Quiet. Then they're like, all right, so they bring Jericho out after Justin Roberts announces them and everything, and they play the song. You know the best part of Jericho coming out? Not the fucking choir, because that's how pissed I am. I said F a minute ago. Now I actually said it. The fans sang it. That's all that needs to be done is let the fans sing it.
They actually did this. I read this last week.
It was horseshit.
I read this last week, and you're going to love this. That they were thinking on doing something like that after watching an episode of Impractical Jokers.
Oh, God.
And one of the finishes, for the Impractical Jokers, look it up, people. It's kind of funny at times. The guy who lost the competition dressed up, they made him dress up in a Dracula suit. And he had to go out on stage and sing. He didn't think that was that bad. Well, when he went out on stage, it was a African American choir singing songs, religious songs.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they're not going to stand there with a freaking Dracula singing the songs. That's where they got that idea.
That's where they got the idea. I did read that. Aubrey let shit go early. It was all over the arena. Note, I learned something from watching wrestling last night. Okay, not only was I entertained on my seat, and, the family came in during this because they were out and about last night, so I had a nice quiet... Me and the dog watched this, and it was great. They came in during the main event.
What's the dog's review?
He
just slept?
He slept.
Okay.
He had Dairy Queen early in the morning, so he was out.
Yeah, he was done
full
for.
belly.
Okay.
Those dilly bars knock his ass out. Did you know that vitamin K is the vitamin that coagulates your blood, makes you stop bleeding and everything?
Did not know that.
Yep. Moxley, JR brought this up, that, maybe he had enough vitamin K because he was bleeding a little bit, and then he stopped bleeding quickly. So
he regained his eyesight.
He did during the match.
During the match. What a swerve.
Right?
My God, he played everybody. We thought he was blind in that eye.
You know what pissed me? This was I don't want to say it was a great match. There were some flaws. It could have been better. I was expecting more. The end of it kind of when Mox won, and then he just had his big celebration, like he won a Grammy, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the title, $1 million. Ed McMahon's home, whatever.
Publishers Clearinghouse.
Thank you. He won all that in one night. I mean, they were celebrating that much. I don't know if I was ready for that yet. Okay.
Yeah, like we talked about it offhand, and I kind of wondered if it was a slap in the face to WWE and to really show them what they missed with Moxley, not letting him do what he can
rambling.
do. But this is Moxley. Come on.
Yeah,
he rambled even before that.
Yeah,
in WWE to an extent.
He pulls his eye mask off and he says, "Hey, I can see." Thank God, because this eye patch has been a hindrance for him the last 3 weeks. He's only been dicking with it.
Or has it?
Oh, it has. It has. Great camera work, but yet bad camera work. Mox did have a little cut above his eye, but again, the vitamin K coagulated the whole thing. At one point, you saw Mox squeezing a packet on himself, either from the eye or from whatever. Like, the little things, guys. I look for the stupid things. You saw him squeezing more blood onto himself because the camera was, like, as close as me and you are right now. All in all, again, a great pay-per-view. I just can't see where they can go wrong. And they announce on March 25th, which is a Wednesday, it's going to be AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts. And they don't say what the match is, but you see a 2-ringed cage come down. Cody has the rights to the match beyond. He can't say War Games. We can, and put them both in the same sentence. But it looks like it's going to be a match beyond match. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they're probably...
And they're going to do... I can't say they're going to do it better than WWE because Adam Cole and Ciampa...
I think it's going to look more...
It's going to be gorier.
Old school.
It's going to be gorier.
Yeah, they're going to look more old school.
Yeah.
They're going to have 2 teams. They're not going to have 3. I don't like that with what NXT done with 3. I think it's going to be more old school, and I think it's going to be the same type of format, just a different name because Vince can't do anything about it.
Everybody does them anymore.
He has the War Games. Okay. The War Games is the first part of that thing. The match beyond was actually when the match could end.
Yeah.
So now what do you call the begin? Now, do they have to give a name to the beginning? No. They'll just call it the match beyond. What's the rules of the match beyond? 1 at a time. First one in there for 5 minutes. Then every 5 minutes or 2 minutes after or whatever.
Yeah, they'll tweak it so it's not copyright infringement so Vince gets pout about it or anything. But all in all, we're running along. All in all, a great week of wrestling. You were at an event. I watched Revolution. WWE was lackluster, but NWA and AEW saved it. And ROH. I mean, I didn't watch any ROH, but ROH involved.
Yeah, you guys gotta watch those matches. And the camera work's good. It comes through great and everything like that. Just gotta watch them. Sue actually sat and watched the matches with it, and she's like, "Well, who's this guy? Who's this guy?" And I was explaining, and it was just a good match. You know, kudos to. I know I'm partial to him. Flip Gordon had a hell of a tag team match on Friday night. Got hit in the head with a chair unexpectedly. Chair was thrown into the ring and it hit him in the head. Started a fight afterwards. They got caught on camera. He called the guy a mother
effer.
And there's a big brawl, a lot of emotion. It just looked good.
Guys, we have something new this week that we want you to do. It actually, I'm begging you guys to actually do this and do it week in and week out. We just got linked up with another thing. It's called ratethispodcast.com. If you go to ratethispodcast.com/cancrushers, you can give out your rating, and it will let you link it to iTunes and Spotify and kind of the ones that you guys listen to. Again, it's ratethispodcast.com/cancrushers. And, like, share, do all that stuff. Spread the word about us as it's what is it called? When network television ratings season. It's ratings season here on Can Crusher. Guys, please like, share, do all of that with these podcasts so they get out more. I mean, we have a great following. If you read the interview that I just had with Listen Notes, we are getting great listens per week, but I'm not being stingy and saying there's more. We just want more fans, more involvement, just to get out there.
Email us questions. We're going to be having one of the shows coming up here soon where we're, going to answer questions.
CanCrushers69@gmail.com.
It can be on wrestling. It can be, what are your thoughts on, this situation? What do you know about this? Anything.
Yeah. And if
what's John's contract worth?
Nothing. Yeah, we'll open up. That's one thing that we want to do, and hopefully it's one that we're actually doing a roundtable. We don't have to have John on the line. We can all be somewhere, our house or your house or John, pizza shop, whatever. Another place you can find us that I've dropped the ball on mentioning a lot is the WrestlePost app. Was talking to him again about, this guy is doing this solo by himself. He's created an app. He is getting podcasts. He's getting wrestlers and everything. You can get it from the Android store, the Apple store, whatever. It's the WrestlePost app, guys. It gives you wrestling. If you're in Montana and you want to go to an event, open this up, and it'll give you scheduled wrestling events where you're at or close to where you're at. You can connect with other podcasts. You can connect with wrestlers on there. It is a great app, and it's available for your phones. It's called the WrestlePost app. Another thing that we got to continue saying it because we always want to feed everybody back to our B. Brian Blair interview is the Cauliflower Alley Club. Guys, wrestlers are getting old. Wrestlers from our heyday, come on, some of them have died, this, that, and the other thing. There's costs out there. We support Cauliflower Alley Club. You guys can join per year or for a lifetime. Go to caulifloweralleyclub.org and listen to B. Brian Blair's interview, and he explains everything what these guys do. Their big event in Las Vegas is coming up. We cannot make it this year. There's no possibility because it's in April. There's no possible way we can make it this year, but that's actually one that I'm shooting for next year to go. There's talks, there's awards, there's just a lot of intermingling with old and new school wrestlers, and it's a great organization. It gives back to, guys, it would even give back, and I'm not saying even, wrestlers in our area. If you're a wrestler and you kind of belong to Cauliflower Alley Club, and something goes wrong in your life, they're going to help cover some of your bills.
They're there for the older wrestlers, where the promoters and stuff like that aren't. That's what this club is for. It's to kind of help the guys that made the business.
It's almost. I'm going to sell it like it's an almost insurance. I mean, I can't say it like that, but you know what I'm trying to say. If something happens, they're going to help you with some of your.
There's benefits.
So. Shooting out to Jimmy Nuts. Maybe, somebody like Jimmy Nuts, sign up for this. Or, Ray Lynn. Or, we're saying local people that are, continuously on our show. But this goes out to Roman Reigns. Come on. Yeah. You don't have health insurance. Sign up. It's going to help you out someday.
Yeah. Just on the same lines of the Cauliflower Alley Club, shout out to Bobby Fulton of the Fantastics. Had his last... double chemo treatment this week, recovering as good as can be expected. He has a benefit coming up March 14th. A lot of big name wrestlers out there. He's getting Cornette out of his hole. It's another good cause, for cancer society, children's cancer, everything. And Bobby Fulton's he's fantastic. He's a really good guy.
Did you get the pun?
Yeah, I got the gun. I got the pun. I'm going to get the gun after the pun, but just help these guys out when you can, whether it's ordering an autographed picture or making a donation or something like that. These are the guys that built the business that we love. They gave their bodies to it a lot more than the wrestlers do these days and stuff like that. Help them out.
And we'll always send you over to our website. It is https://cancrusher69.wixsite.com/cancrushers. Everything where we're going, what we're doing, all our episodes are linked to that. They're there. Whatever you guys want. Long show again. They're going to continue to probably be long because we're long-winded. And make sure you check on the Listen Notes interview that I had. Well, a little behind-the-scenes stuff. Did you read that? You saw it.
I saw it.
You didn't read it yet?
No.
Write your name up in it a couple times, damn it. The English professor at least said he liked it. Nothing.
He's just going for a new contract.
he just has nothing to do at work. Not that either of us, all three of us, there's at some point that we're all doing nothing. But all right, what do you have going on this week?
Not a damn thing. This is no ticket buying this week. No,
Nothing.
No events. Not a damn thing.
Me neither. Maybe. Whoa. Right now, guys, final thing we're going to end on. Right now, if you go on Retro Studios Facebook, you can pre-order the Retromania game. It's coming out July, and there's two ways of ordering it. You can order it, one right now for Nintendo Switch and one for Steam for the computer, but there's two ways on top of that is what I mean. You can order, you just get the digital download, and that right now is $24.99 for I'm going to talk the Switch. It's $24.99. For $5 extra, the $29.99, keeping it under the $30 range that Mike Herman talked about, you get the digital download, okay? Not a hard copy of the game, but a case cover with the cool-ass artwork of everybody on it, a sticker and a pin or something like that. So for $5 extra, you get their deluxe edition.
Yeah.
Clearly ordering it. I want the case.
We've had this discussion. We're going to be getting it for two
probably both formats.
The Switch for our traveling and stuff and everything like that, and then the PS4.
But even he said he was going to keep it under $30. Even the deluxe edition right now is under $30.
Yeah, you can't beat that for what this wrestling game's going to bring.
No. And they have been popping up, folks, at cons. WrestleCon here, this con there, This weekend they were in Philadelphia for, I don't know, PAX Con or whatever. I don't even know what the hell PAX Con is. But they have brought in their arcade game, and you're allowed to play for like 5 minutes. And Blue Meanie was there playing against you. How amazing would that have been?
Nice.
Blue Meaning's a crazy-ass guy, too.
Yeah, awesome, dude.
All right, we're long. We'll catch up with you guys on Wednesday as we have another cool spotlight with somebody from OVW. So we'll leave it at that. Chad, have a great week.
You too.